The next steps for gun safety legislation in Pennsylvania. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me is Peggy Walsh. She is gun safety issue point person for Bucks County Women's Advocacy Coalition. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, talk to us a little bit about the Bucks County Women's Advocacy Coalition. You work on a variety of different issues related to gender equality and economic security for women.
Yes, and in line with our mission of that, we feel that we should promote gun safety common sense legislation that promotes safety for families, communities, schools, women.
And talk to us, though, about where we stand right now. There were a variety of pieces of legislation that the state legislature was taking up, but the legislature is now on recess.
Yes. So what happened was that the legislature left for the session without voting on a number of bills that we feel are common sense legislation for the common good. Some of these bills were left in committee and never got out to the House for a vote. But several of the ones that we feel are very important for the safety of women and families have been left on the floor or in committee.
And let's get into the details of those. One is a domestic violence gun relinquishment bill. This did pass the Senate unanimously.
Yes, it did. And currently, a person under a PFA, which is a protection from abuse order in Pennsylvania, has 60 days to relinquish a gun. And they can give it to a family member or a friend. So the new law simply states that someone under a PFA would have 24 to 48 hours to surrender their gun, and they would have to give it to a sheriff or a court official or even a licensed arm dealer. In Pennsylvania last year, 117 people were killed in domestic violence situations, and 66% of those were shot with a gun.
Is there the concern, though, when it comes to relinquishment, that there isn't a due process when it comes to getting those firearms returned if that protection from abuse order is lifted, for example?
No, because it's stipulated that this is for a defined period of time. When the order is lifted, the person can definitely get the weapons back.
And that's one of the pieces of legislation that you as an organization are advocating on behalf of. Another is related to background checks for private sales of firearms.
Yes, and we feel that no gun safety legislation is going to be really effective unless we have universal background checks in Pennsylvania. So in Pennsylvania, you can go to a private seller, which typically takes place at a gun show, and you can purchase a long gun without any background check whatsoever. So a long gun would, of course, be a rifle or a shotgun, but it also includes semi-automatic weapons like the ones that were used in Sandy Hook and the Parkland shooting. So if you pass the domestic violence relinquishment bill and then this person can go and buy a long gun without a background check, then it really defeats the purpose or the good intentions, of the domestic violence relinquishment bill.
And just a few seconds left, but these are just some of the pieces of legislation that you are advocating for. But you say if people are interested in these issues, they can get involved with your organization.
Yes, please, please. We are nonpartisan. We advocate for, gender equity and economic security for women and therefore families. And we need to make our voices heard because the majority of people do support common sense gun safety legislation for the common good. But they always hear from the other side, from the gun lobby is very strong in Pennsylvania, so citizens need to make their voices heard. So call your representative, call your senator, and tell them that you believe in these common sense measures.
Thanks for being with us.
Okay, thank you.
We've been talking with Peggy Walsh. I'm Jill Horner for Comcast Newsmakers.